Yeah. So in the last two classes, we have seen examples on what database programming. Okay, and we have seen how to read a single record from the database table. We have seen it by using both Open SQL and what native SQL. Now let us see retrieving multiple records. Retrieving multiple records from database table. Okay, so already we know we have the table KNA1, which is a standard table given by SAP, and this table contains what customer master data. Okay, so if in SC11, if you go to KNA1 table, what is the primary key field in the table? There are two primary key fields. One is MANDT, nothing but client number, and next what KUNNR, which is nothing but what number, customer number. Okay. Okay. So my requirement is, so if in the last two classes we have compared with what customer number. We are reading customer number as an input from the user. Based on that customer number, we are retrieving the data. So since customer number is the primary key, you will not have any duplicate records. You will have what? Only single record per each customer. Now my requirement is we have a field here land one. We have a field what here land one, nothing but what country key. Okay, country key. So which is a what non-primary key field. So it will have what duplicate entries for what land one. So if you go to the contents, yeah, this table has got some 9,134 records. So you can see overall we have 215 fields. So if you go to the contents, here we have customer number and country. Okay, so what is the purpose of this field land one? It stores the country key. Okay, so what SAP has done is for each country they have defined one country key. India means IN. Okay, United States means US. Okay, so United Kingdom means UK. For Germany means DE. Okay, so like that for every country SAP has defined the country key. So this is the field which stores the country keys. So each country might contain what n number of what customers. So if you go to the contents, overall we have 9,134 records. Now in the country field, okay, in the country field, if you browse this, it is showing all the country keys configured in the system. I'll choose AR, Argentina. Okay, I want to check how many customers are there in Argentina. So if I click on number of entries, we have around 60 customers. Let me browse. I'll choose something Australia, AU. We're having some 20 records. Okay, I'll give D, nothing but what? Germany. Okay, D indicates what? Germany. Okay, so if you scroll down, yeah, D indicates what? Germany. So related to Germany, we are on 2,786 customers. Okay, so understanding is each country may contain what n number of customers. There are some countries which may not have any customers. Suppose I'll choose something Albania, AL. We are having what zero entries. So a country may have zero or one or more customers. Okay, so I repeat this. So in SC11, if I go to contents, I can filter based on what country. So if you're practicing in your laptop, you may not have this field displayed here. In case, okay, if you want to do the filtration on this land one is nothing but what country key. If you go to contents, if you're unable to see that field, you can modify this selection screen. This is a selection screen given by SAP itself. So if you're unable to see countries, for example, assume that okay, I want to filter based on ORT01. What is this ORT01? City. Okay, so if I go to content, I don't have any field. It is showing, it is not showing any field called as city here. So I want to display that city here. So if you want to modify the selection screen, okay, in this data browser screen, I'll choose settings menu, fields for what? Selection. Fields for selection. If I click on this, it will show you all the 215 fields. What are selected here? Customer number and land one. Since only customer number and land one is selected, only those two fields are visible here. I want city also, so I'll select what? ORT01. Understood? Like this, you can make selection and deselection. I'll choose this ORT01, continue. So it will modify the standard selection screen. Okay, it will display that city field also, right? Right. So this is a city field. Done. So like this, I can filter it based on what? City. Okay, done. Now I'll go back. So what is my requirement is when I run my report. Okay, so this is your ABAP program. So whenever I run my report, okay, I want a selection screen to be displayed like this. So this is my what? Selection screen where I need to give what? Excuse me, please. Okay, so here I want to give the field as what? Country key. Enter the country key. So on executing the selection screen, try to understand. Done. So on executing the selection screen, I want the report to be displayed like this. Okay. So this is my output screen. So based on this country key, I want to show some data like customer number. Okay. What are the fields? Customer number, customer name, and customer city. Okay, so I want to show this three columns. So what are the three columns I want to show? Customer number, customer name one, and customer city. Three columns I want to retrieve. So each country might contain what? N number of what? Records. So if I give the country as what here? Germany, it has got some 2000 records. So it has to display all the 2000 change records in the output screen. So here the focus is in the last class, we have compared with the primary key field. We are able to retrieve only single record. Since we are comparing with primary key field, we know that you will have only one record. So we are using what? Select single. Now I am going to compare based on what? Non-primary key field. Non-primary key field. So you may have what? Multiple records. So since we are going to compare with non-primary key field, I repeat, since we are going to compare with non-primary key field, there is a possibility that you may have what? Multiple records. So since we may retrieve multiple records, my target variable should be what? Internal table. So in the last two classes, since we are retrieving single record, since we are using select single, I declared what? Individual fields, or I declared what? A work area which is capable of storing only what? Single record. Now I need to declare what? Internal table. So what I'll do is, yeah. So in the ABAP editor, type of program is executable program. So what is that initial requirement? On executing this program, I should get a selection screen where I need to input the country key. So I have to input, I have to create a variable referring to which field? Land one. What is this land one? Character of what? 3. Okay, so I'll say parameters. Okay, parameter variable generally will start with what? P underscore land one. Okay, you can give any name, but in the last class I told, when a program variable is referring to a database field, it is recommended to provide the program variable name same as that of what? Database field name, so that it increases the readability. By looking at the variable, the ABAP consultants can understand that we are referring to so and so database field. It's only a recommendation. So instead of giving it as p underscore x y kind of thing, also p underscore land one. Okay, of 3, type what? C. So I told this is not a recommended approach. So why I gave character of 3? Because in the table land one is what? Character of 3. What is the problem with this approach? See, when I execute this, I am getting the selection screen. Here I need to give the land one. Okay, so here there are many country keys defined in what? SAP system. Okay, so if I go to a table, okay, I'll go to SC11. Sorry, this is sales company code 5, I think. Yeah, okay, we have a table in SC11. Okay, we have a standard table T005, T005, which will contain what countries. So you can see in this table we have a field what land one, which is primary key, na? Which is a primary key. So all the country keys which we define in SAP system will come and sit in which table? T005. I repeat, all the country keys which we define in the SAP system will come and sit in this particular table. So here land one is our primary key. Let me check how many country keys are there here. If I go to contents, we are having some 235 country keys. So this is the country key and this is a country name. Okay, right. So T005 is a table. So why I'm showing the table is, now the user cannot remember all the 235 country keys na? So what the user will expect, here I need to provide some F4 help. So when I click on F4, I should get what? I should get somewhat list of country keys which are configured in my system. I am not getting here. So this is one problem. One problem. What is that problem? We are not getting any F4 help. What is the other problem? Here I gave what? Character of 3. Okay, why I gave character of 3 in the table also? The field data type is what? Character of 3. So it's fine now. Now in future, if this data type is modified or if the size is modified, again in the program also we need to do the changes which will increase what? Maintenance cost. So that's the reason any program variable which has to refer to the database fields should not be hard coded. We should not specify the data type and size directly. What is the problem? You will not get any standard F4 functionality if available, and in future if the database field properties are modified, again we need to do the changes in the program. I am keeping on repeating this point the rest of the course. I'll quickly do this. Okay, so what is the limitation? If the program variable if the program variable has to refer to the database field, it is recommended not to directly specify the data type and what size. The problem with this approach is you will not get the standard F4 functionality if available. You will not get the standard F1 functionality if available. Okay, and in future if the database field properties are modified, again we need to do the necessary changes in the program also. We need to do the necessary change in the program also, which will increase what? Maintenance cost. So this is not a recommended process. So this is not recommended. So what is the recommendation here? Parameters p underscore land one. Either you refer to the data element. What is the data element of this field? Data element is what? Land one underscore GP. We don't know much about data element, but at this stage, understand the data element will be associated with what? Data type and what? Size. So what is the data element name here? Land one underscore GP. So I'll say type what? Land one underscore GP. So I'm referring to what? Data element. Okay, referring to data element. So when I execute this, okay, you can see here I am getting this icon which indicates that it is having what? F4L. So when I press F4, yes, I am getting the F4L where the user can choose the value. And what is the another advantage here? In future, if this data type and size are modified, you need not modify your program. Okay, you need not modify your program. If the data element is modified, yes. If the data element is modified, yes, we need to modify in the program also. But okay, if the data type and size is modified, I need not modify my program, and we are getting the standard F4 help and standard F1 help. Okay, so when I press F1 here, I'll get the standard F1 defined by what? F1 help defined by what? SAP itself, just to provide more information related to that particular screen field. Done. Okay, this is one way which I told in the last class. Then what is the other way? I can directly refer to the field itself. P underscore what? Land one type What is the field name? Land1, which is part of which structure? KNA1 tables. Table in this is structure only. Type what? KNA1 hyphen land1. This is also fine. So in some projects the coding standards would be refer to data elements, or some projects you may refer to like this. Okay, so what you are doing here, referring to DB structure field. Directly I'm referring to what? Database structure field. Done. So here also when I execute, I'm getting the F4L where the user can choose a list of values, all those. Done. So we got the selection screen. Let me provide some meaningful text. Done. Now, after giving the value here, when I click on this execute button, based on this country key, I need to get the list of what? Customers. So since I'm going to compare with what? Land one field, which is a non-primary key field, you may have multiple records. And what data you want in the output? Customer number, customer name, and customer city. So we need to analyze what fields you need to refer. What are the fields I want to refer? Kunnar, name one, and ORT01. So since I may have multiple records, I require what? Internal table. Already we know the standard way of declaring the internal table. So also types begin of ty underscore, types begin of ty underscore customer, some meaningful name. I want three fields. So earlier we used to say F1, F2 kind of thing. But since we are referring to the database field, recommended to provide the same name. So I'll say customer number type. Here also I can refer to data element or the field itself. Punnar type so and so. Name one type KNA1 hyphen name one, and then I'll say ORT01 type KNA1 hyphen ORT01, close the types declaration. Then based on this I require an internal table, so I'll declare the internal table type standard table of ty underscore customer. Since it is an internal table without default header, I require an explicit work area, so I'm declaring the work area type ty underscore what? Customer. Done. Okay. And one more thing, the recommended practice is how many fields you want to retrieve? Three fields. So you declare the fields in the internal table also in the same sequence as that of your database table. Kunnar, name, and what is. I'm following that sequence. This will slightly improve the performance. I can also declare like this, or it is like this. But again, it will slightly degrade the performance. So that's why when you're declaring the fields in the internal table, try to declare the same sequence as that of the database table and try to retrieve in the same sequence. So here it is what is 01 and here it is what? Name 1. Done. So right, so I'm doing the declare. I'm getting a warning related to the KNM table. Just ignore it. Now when I execute, done. Okay, so on executing this, on clicking of execute button on the selection screen, what is the event triggered? What is the event triggered? Start of selection. So I'll handle what? Start of selection event. Done. So now what I have to do, I need to get the data from what? KNM table. I need to retrieve the data, so I can directly write the select statement. But instead of directly writing the select statement, I'll try to modularize my program. I'll try to break the program into individual blocks. So instead of writing the statements in sequence, I'll put it in a subroutine. So how to call a subroutine? Already we know perform. Okay, I can give any subroutine name. Let me give a meaningful name. So I'll say perform get customers. Understood? I need to define this subroutine of form and form. So I'll double click on this. Double click on the subroutine name. Does not exist. Create the object. Yes. I'll if you I is asking whether you want to create in the new include or whether you want to create in the main program. Better we go for what? New include. Let's all the subroutines. We have to define it in the subroutine. But since we are at the initial stage, let me choose the same program, main program. Continue. Right. Let me remove this comments. It doesn't have any parameters. Write the select word. Now I should not use select single because we are going to compare with what? Non-primary key field. I can use select single I can still compare with the non-primary key field, but you'll get only what single record. But I want to get what multiple record. So I need to use another Open SQL statement. Select what is the sequence I declared in my internal table, Kunnar, name one, and ORT01. So try to retrieve the same sequence as that of the database table, Kunnar, name one, and ORT01. So select customer number and name one, ORT01 from KN1 table. I can write everything, I can write the entire select statement in a single line only. But to increase the readability, we generally write like this. Fields you write in one line, and then the database table name in another line, and the target variable in another line. So into where the retrieved data has to be stored in the internal table. Na? So since the target is the internal table, I have to use the keyword table. Into table, what is the internal table? T underscore customer. Into table T underscore customer. Okay, so if I leave it like this, it will retrieve all the 9,000 records. But I want only what the customer related to the given country. So where with what field I have to compare land one. So where land one is equal to what is the input variable p underscore land one. Understood? So I'm retrieving the data based on the given land one. So since you are storing an internal table, you have to use the keyword what into table. Done. Now if the select is successfully executed, if at least one record is retrieved, size of ours is what? 0. So I'll say if size of ours is equal to 0, right? Then else I'll say, I'll just give a message. No data for country. No data for given country key. Type information message and F. Done. If size of ours is equal to 0, so what is the meaning? At least one record is what? Retrieved. So if size of ours is equal to 0 means at least one record is what? Retrieved. Okay, so the retrieved data will come and sit in the internal table. Huh? Right. So I want to display the number of records retrieved by your select statement. I want to display the number of records retrieved by your select statement. So what I can do, there are two ways. One way is I can count the number of records in the internal table. Already we know we have a statement, describe statement. Describe table name, which will count the number of records and stores a count value in the system field called as ztable. That is one way. Or else I can refer to the system field. So immediately after the select statement, I can say number of records retrieved is, we have a system field db count, which will store the number of records retrieved by your select statement. I can refer to the system field db count, or you can count it from the internal table by using describe statement and refer to the field it field. Done. So where is the data available in the internal table now? So what I have to do, I have to display the data. So how do you display the data from the internal table? Loop at t underscore customer into w underscore customer end loop. Okay, I'll display the data, right? W underscore customer hyphen customer number hyphen land one hyphen what name one. Done. So when I execute this, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not getting the land one. I'm getting what fields? Name one and ORT01. In the internal table also, what are the fields? Kunnar, name one and ORT01. So I'll say select. What is this? Yeah, this is name one and this is ORT01. So when I execute, right, I'll give the country AU, nothing but Australia. When I press F8, yes, I got the data. Number of records retrieved is what? 20. Number of records retrieved is 20. I got the customer number, name one and city. Okay, I'll give something India, right? So I got the data. Some of the customers doesn't have city, or some of the customer doesn't have the name one. Okay, I'll give US. I got the data 4,240. 41, something like this. Okay, so one thing you have to observe here is, so far related to internal tables, what we are doing, we are filling the data in the internal table. Means first we are assigning the data to the work area. From work area we need to add the data to the internal table by using what, append or what, insert statement. But whereas here what happens is, okay, so let me put it in proper format. So this is your selection statement, sorry, this is your selection screen. Okay, so what you are doing now, okay, this is your SAP database. Okay, in the SAP database, one of the table is what, one of the table is what, KNA1 table. We are trying to retrieve the data from the database table. So on executing the selection screen, a request is sent to what, your database table. Okay, this is your SAP database. Okay, SAP database done. We are sending the select statement. Okay, right, now what you are doing here, select so and so from into table t underscore customer. So already in your application server, in your application server, what you have done, you have declared an internal table. So during the execution, the internal table gets what, created. Okay, so this is your application server, this is your internal table, which contains what, three fields: customer number, name one, and ORT01. Okay, this is your internal table, and this is your work area which we declared. This is your work area. Customer number, here also same fields: customer number, name one, and ORT01. What are the fields here in the internal table? Kunnar. Work area also is having the same fields: name one and what, ORT01. Here I can give F1, F2, F3. In the internal table I can give F1, F2, F3, any names I can give. But whenever your field as to, whenever your variable is referring to the database field, it is recommended to provide the same name. That's why I gave what, same name. Don't think that I must give the same name, not mandatory, but this is a recommended approach. Okay, so this is your internal table. One second please. Yeah, this is your internal table. This is your work area. What is the work area name? W underscore what, customer. Okay, this is your work area, and this is your internal table. What is the internal table? T underscore what, customer is your internal table. So what you are doing now, when you are retrieving the data, okay, when you are retrieving the data, you are saying what, into table na? Into table you are saying. So the retrieved data, if the data is available, this data will come and sit in the body directly. This is the change you have to observe. So far we are filling the data manually. So what you have to do, you must fill the work area. From work area we have to add it to the internal table by using what, append or what, insert statement. So but whereas here what happens, directly the data will come and sit in what, internal table body. Okay, so this is your what, first step. What you are doing, you are executing the select query. Then the second step is what, the data would be retrieved into what, the table. Now what you are doing, we are looping it, right? So when you loop here, what happens, each record will come from what, body to what, work area. Understood? So this is your what, third step. Okay, you are looping your internal table. So once a loop is successfully executed, the control enters the loop. We are using the write statement to display the data from the work area. So from work area, the data would be displayed on what, output screen. This is your write statement which will display the output on what, LPS, list processing screen. Okay, this is the final step, the fourth step. That is, you are using what, write statement. Understood? So the change is, when you say into table, data will come and sit directly in the body. Now in order to display the data, you have to get each record from body to work here. That's what you are doing. Okay, so if I quickly debug this, I'll put the breakpoint. I'll give the country key as something AU, Australia. Execute this. The event is to get start of selection. What is the input country key? P underscore land one is what? AU, Australia. Okay, done. And what is the internal will I declare? T underscore customer. As of now, it is initial. It doesn't have any data. It is empty as of now. Now I'm trying to call the subroutine. So when I say F5, control jumps to subroutine definition. We are trying to execute the data and retrieving the data into the internal tables. The data will come and sit directly in the body of the internal tables. When I say F5, done, I got the data. How many records I got? 20 records I got. So if you see the internal table, this is my internal table. I got the 20 records. Okay. If size of bars equal to 0, yes. At least one record is returned. What is the value of size of bars is 0. See the value of SciDB count 20. Okay. The number of records retrieved by the select statement. What is the count value? SciDB count. So what is the understanding of SciDB count? It is a system field which will store the count of number of records retrieved by your select query. Okay, if size of bar is equal to 0, number of records retrieved is SciDB count. I am printing that. I got 20. I am looping it. How many times it will be looped? 20 times. Each record will come from body to work area. What is the first record here? 1948 Dave and Newport. Each record will come to what? Work area. So F5 done. So customer number is so and so, name one is so and city is so and so. It will display that. So it will display the first record. Done. Like this, since we are in the loop, again the control goes to the loop. Second record is populated to the work area. Yes, second record is populated like this. It will iterate for 20 times. So when I say F8, I'll get the rest of the program execution. Done. So any questions in this part, please ask me. Done. So I got the data in the internal table. Fine. So when I execute, okay, I got the data. Right. Okay. Now here, when I'm displaying, I got the data. Number of records retrieved 12. See, I guess space na. How many records I got? 12. Might be there are some customers who doesn't have any country key, so it is retrieving that particular record. It is retrieving those records. I got 12 records. Now here only I'll say. So how do you count the number of records? By using what? SciDB count. So let me comment it. Okay, I can refer to the system field SciDB count, or already we know we have a statement what? Describe. Describe table. What is the internal table? T underscore what? Customer. What this describe will do? It counts the number of records in the internal table and stores the count value in the system field what? Sci T field. So I'll say write number of records is what? Psi field. So you'll get the same count value. I can refer to the system field SciDB count, or I can use a combination of describe and Psi field. So if I give AU, I got the number of records is 20. I'll give Germany, I got 2786. Done. Working fine. Right? So I can use SciDB count, or I can use a describe statement. Now before displaying the data, if you want to sort the data, you can sort. Suppose I'll say sort. Okay, as of now I'm not sorting. So I'll get the data something like this. I got 1948 so and so so and so. This is my data. Okay, I want to sort it based on customer name. I want to sort it based on what? Customer name. So already we know how do you sort the internal table. We'll say sort T underscore customer number by on which field? By what? Sort T under by what? By name one. So it is going to sort based on what? Name one. Okay, so when I execute this, yes, I got the sorted data based on what? Customer name. So you can see first I got 8,000. Okay, then I got what? APJ, something like this. Okay, it is sorting based on what? Customer name. Right? So what you are doing here, after retrieving the data into the internal table, we are doing what? Sort. We are doing the sort. Now I'll just copy this 40 to 41. Okay, so let me remove all these things. So what I'm doing here, I'm sorting the data based on what? Customer number. So after retrieving the data into the internal table, I am doing the sorting. Let me comment it. Okay, so when I re-execute this, I got the data something like this. Now I want to sort it. So earlier we have used sort now. Now instead of this, what I'll do, as part of my select statement only, as part of my select statement, I'll say where land1 equal to p underscore land1. Here only I will use one addition called as order by. Order by, order by which field? Name one. Order by name one. So order by class, CLAUSC. What this order by class will do, it will retrieve the data in what? Sorted order. Means at the database level only, it will retrieve the data in what? Sorted order. And that sorted data will be returned back to what? Internal table. So when I execute this, so I have commented the sort statement now. So when I execute, I got the data in what? Sorted order of what? Name one. But it is recommended not to use order by class, because order by class, what it will do, it will try to sort on the database level. So it will increase the burden on what? Database itself. It will increase the load on what? Database. So the recommendation is you get the data into the internal table, and then you do the sorting based on what? Internal table field. Don't use what? Order by class. It will degrade the performance. Okay, this is by default sorting in what? Ascending order. So this is what? Ascending order. So if you want to use sort statement in descending order, already we know here we have to use addition what? Descending. We have discussed that in the internal tables. Okay, so this anyhow we know. So using order by only, I want to sort it based on descending order. So what I'll do, I'll say order by what? Name one. What is this? Descending. Order by name one, descending. So it will sort the data. It will retrieve the data in the descending order of what? Employee, sorry, department, sorry, customer name. So I'll give Australia. I got the data in what? Descending order of what? Customer name. Hope it's clear to everyone. Order by name one, descending. Okay. Any questions? Difference between sort and order by. Sort is used on internal table. Order by is used as part of select statement only. It is recommended not to use order by class because it will increase the load on database server. How it increase the load? It will try to retrieve the data in what? Sorted order. Understood? On the database itself, it will try to sort and return the data, which will increase the load. Any questions? Right, one more small change. I'll just copy this 41 to 42. So in the earlier example, we are generating the what? Selection screen. Based on this country only, we are pulling the data. Now what I want is, I want to pull the data based on some set of values. So I'll not generate any selection screen. I'll remove the parameters. Here I'll say, just try to understand the change. Get customers. I'll not use any order by all those things. Done. Where land one equal to, I want to retrieve some customers from what? Argentina, Australia, and India. Okay, so what I'll do, I know from which countries I want to retrieve the data. So I'll say where land one is equal to what? What? AR, Argentina, or what? Land one is equal to what? AU, or what? Land one is equal to what? IN, that is India. Okay, so let me remove all this thing, and here we know this. Okay, I'll use this only. Done. Number of records retrieved. Done, 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 done. Okay, yeah. So let's see now. So what I'm doing here, I'm using OR statement as part of my select statement. So when I execute this, OR means what? If either of the condition is satisfied, you'll get the data. Now for our understanding, let me retrieve land one also from what? The table. So what I'll do here, I'll say land one. Okay, land one type what? KN1 hyphen land one, and in the select statement also customer number and what? Land one. Done. Let me display this. Here also I'll say W underscore customer hyphen what? Land one. So that I'll understand from where the data is displayed. So when I execute this, number of records retrieved is what? 172. So I got AR, Argentina, again AR. Oh, it is not in sorted order. So what I'll do, let me sort it based on land one. So somewhere here, I'll say what? Before displaying sort T underscore customer by what? Land one. So when I execute, okay, I got number of records is 172. So first I got all Argentina customers. Done. Then I'll get all what? Australia customers. Okay, so something like this. They're all what? Argentina customers. Then what? Australia customers. Then at the last we have what? Indian customers. Okay, so I'm trying to show you what? OR statements. I can do like this. Okay, or what I'll do, I'll say where land one in. When you're comparing with set of values, you have to use in operator. In what? AR, comma, AU, comma, data is case sensitive. So I'm comparing with uppercase India. Done. Understood? So we have to use equal to when you're comparing with exactly one value. Okay, we have to use equal to when we're comparing with exactly done. So when we have to use equal to operator, when you're comparing with what? Only single value. When you're comparing with single value, we have to use equal to operator. When you're comparing with range of values, when you're comparing with set of values, we have to use what? In operator. So when I execute this, you'll get the same result. Okay, I got 172 records. Hope it's clear. When we have to use equal to, when we have to use in operator. Equal to we have to use when we're exactly comparing with single value. When we're comparing with multiple values, set of values, range of values, we have to use what? In operator. Something like this. Right? So we understood how to retrieve the data into the internal table, how to use the in operator, order by class, and sort statement. Difference between order by and what? Sort statement. Any questions in this part? Please ask me. Any questions? Done. So tomorrow what we'll do is, so far we are reading single value from the user. Tomorrow onwards we'll see how to read range of values from the user. So here what we did in the program itself, I gave that range, but I want the user to give that range. User might give a list of country keys. So based on that list of country keys, I want to pull the data. Instead of, when you will go for this approach, when you are sure, when you want to get the data based on some fixed values, we'll try to hard code that in the program itself. But I want the user to enter the range of what? Input values. Based on that range of input values, I need to pull the data. So we'll be discussing what? Select options, and based on the select options, we'll see other syntaxes related to what? Select statement. Done. So if you don't have any questions, I'll wind off for today.